With every major game update, I see the same complaints across all social medias and even in games sometimes. Did they even playtest this? Because there are bugs, balancing issues, or things just don't work at all. But what if actual content creators were playtesting every major update? Let's talk about it. Yo, what's going on guys? My name's Valric and today we're going to be talking about the idea of content creators playtesting new major updates like boss releases, quests, new areas, new scaling methods, etc, etc. And if they should do it or should not do it. And I just really want to know what you guys think as well on this subject, because it's just an idea. It's just like a brainstorm kind of video, because I have some positives and I have some negatives, and me personally, I'm very indifferent to it. Obviously, I would love to be invited by Jagex to playtest something that is not released for months upon end, because I think that would be sick. But outside of the selfish reasons, I also do think there are a lot of negatives to this as well. And I just thought it would be an interesting topic because it actually stems from something which we'll get into in a little bit. And there's also a reason why I think it should be YouTubers and streamers, which we'll also get into. But with every of my videos, and especially with this one, what do you think? Should the new updates or like new major updates be playtested by different types of content creators from varying skill levels? Yes or no? And give me a good reason why yes or why not, because I'm genuinely curious what you guys think. If you're going to enjoy this video, definitely go give it a like. It really helps me out. Subscribe if you're new. We're still on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Without further ado, let's get into this video. So first things first, where does this idea come from? I know that in the past there has been some playtests here and there by some different YouTubers, both in old school and RuneScape 3, but so you're mainly focused on RuneScape 3, and you know, it's okay, but it mainly came from Call of Duty, really. I've mentioned COD many times on this channel because that used to be my major game between like 2012 and like, I don't know, 2016, 2017. I was really into it, following all the YouTubers, and still till this date, they invite YouTubers before the release of the game to play an alpha of the game where, you know, they can share their thoughts and give some feedback. And usually Activision does absolutely nothing with that feedback, because those YouTubers have been preaching about the change that they want to see, and then, you know, they have the chance to tell the developers, and I assume that they do so, and then they just don't get into the game. So besides that, besides the actual playtesting of creators, they're not really doing anything with that feedback. And obviously if RuneScape were to do it, I really hope that it would be to invite creators and have their feedback and actually take it into consideration. We're not game developers, but still we are in tune with the community, which I will get into more detail in a little bit. But let me clarify something as well. Why do I think it should be YouTubers and streamers? I think it's easier to just grab YouTubers and streamers because you know that they're serious about the game. They have some different kind of insights. Usually they're more in tune with the community, especially like a channel like taking me for an example. Like, I'm really in tune with the community because I try to make videos on things that are relevant. I read a lot of comments about the community. I read a lot of thoughts, opinions, and just on my videos in general. Obviously, I'm way too small to get invited to something. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not under the illusion that I would be invited to something like this. But like, just as an example, like I have maybe some more insight than you who just plays the game and only reads Twitter, for example. And I'm not saying I'm better or worse than you. I'm just giving an example. And I think it's also easier with NDAs and, you know, using it for promotional purposes and all sorts of things, which we'll get into the positives. So that's why I think YouTubers and streamers are probably a bit better to you know, invite compared to just regular players. Because how do you pick a regular player? I think with the like small amount of YouTubers and streamers that you can pick off, I think that's a lot easier than to try and pick players out of a player base of millions, right? Like, to also make it a little bit more fair, but also unfair, which we'll get into the negatives in a little bit as well. But let's get into some positives, because as I said, like, streamers and YouTubers have different kind of skill levels. I mean, I'm like mediocre at best when it comes to PVM, but I, you know, find my way around PVM, and, you know, I can do some things, and I know how the basics work, and I know just overall, like, I can PVM. I'm just not one of the best. But if you invite me and an Evil Lucario, they're two like completely different sides of the spectrum of skill levels, and we can give two different sides of feedback, because maybe they want to balance it to a more skilled level. Like, for example, I can kill it with my mediocre PVM skills, and, you know, like Evil Lucario would probably think that something is a lot easier than, you know, your average player. And obviously they want as many people to interact with it in the skill level they want it to be. And so, for example, if they want it to be an end game boss, they still need to make it so like not only Evil Lucario can take it out. You know what I mean? And I'm taking him as an example because obviously he's the most well-known PVMer. Obviously, I know that there are many other incredible PVMers like him, maybe even better than him, but obviously he is the better known one. But I think when it comes to skill levels, I think it would be great because, I mean, Protox, Nosnos, me, Fraxu, whatever, Lucario, RS guy, my crew, whoever. Obviously, I'm putting me into the conversation because I can give my own perspective. As I said, I'm not under the illusion that I would be invited to something like this because I'm way too small for it. I'm way too irrelevant for it. But just as I said, so I can talk from my own perspective. But, you know, you have all different kinds of skill levels coming in and, you know, testing it and giving it feedback. And Jagex can then implement that in whatever they want it to be when it comes to skill level of that boss. And as I said earlier as well, it also gives a better insight of what the community wants. All those people that I just named are really in tune with the community. They talk to the community, you know, they can ask questions to the community, or, you know, they can speak for a community, and they're kind of a voice for the community when it comes to RuneScape. And, you know, you might not agree with that because, you know, I might not represent your opinion, or Protox might not represent your opinion, or my crew, or whoever, but you know, overall, I think for the majority, I think we all know, on average, I think, at least, as I said, this is all just from my personal perspective and opinion, is that, you know, we think we know what, like, the majority of the community wants, and I think we can speak for it, and maybe even when we're allowed to talk about it, hey, we're going up to Jagex, what are some things you'd like to know about the new update? And we can just ask it and go from there. I mean, it's kind of like the community manager type of thing, but, you know, it's probably easier to ask externally, like, so from, like, our perspective, from, like, a creator perspective, to Jagex than, like, a Jagex moderator asking hard-hitting questions. Like, I don't have any stakes in the company like someone who works there, if that makes any sense. And, you know, even when it comes to mechanics and when it comes to stakes, like, someone like Evil Lucario probably knows how to properly break the game. And, I mean, a good QA tester should know how to break things, because that's how you test if it's, you know, working and if there are no bugs in it. But, you know, someone with the knowledge of Evil Lucario, the RS guy, they know how bosses work and how the game works and how the mechanics of the game work, so they know how to break things as well, and they can, like, you know, discover some bugs even before it comes out, because they have that skill level. And I mean, a QA tester is probably good at the game as well, but obviously they have some, like, different insights to the boss than someone who's just playing it blindly. So yeah, that could also be a benefit. And the last thing that I think is both a benefit and a downside, and I think that's a good, like, segue into the downsides as well, is using it as a promotional tool. I mean, if we are allowed to talk about, you know, what we experienced at Jagex, it could be some good promo. I mean, even if we're just allowed to give our actual opinions and not have to, like, say certain things, that we're actually being allowed to be 100% honest and be like, you know what, that new boss is like dog water, bro, it's trash. Like, if we're allowed to say that would be amazing. And they could just use it as well to, you know, get some information out from, like, YouTubers' perspective and how, like, they experienced it. Because, you know, I can tell you about, oh, we got this new big boss, like, from a Jagex perspective, right? Oh, we got this new boss from Zamorak coming out, and it's amazing, and it's sick, it's going to be the hardest boss, and whatever. And we all know those promotional talks, and when it comes out, it's difficult, but it's like, yeah, it's alright, it's not too difficult. And, you know, someone who actually plays the game on a daily basis, like content creators, for example, or you guys, can probably put it into perspective a lot better as well. But then again, it could also lead into something a bit more negative, and going into more the negatives of this video as well, is market influence. Because, you know, obviously depending on how much you're allowed to talk about a new boss fight or a new area or something, like, you know, if I can tell you, like, oh yeah, the boss fight at Zamorak is sick, then, you know, that's it. Like, you know, then I'm not saying anything. But for example, if I'm allowed to say, oh yeah, but I used range and it was really good, or like it was better than mage or whatever, I have a huge impact on the market, because, you know, I'm saying that range is good and everyone wants to kill the new boss because it will most likely be the best money in game. So everyone's going to sell their mage gear and buy their range gear. And obviously I can benefit of that, because, you know, I know that beforehand, and it goes with supplies as well. For example, what if in the boss, like, a power burst of acceleration where you can, like, do multiple searches in a short period of time is meta, for example? Obviously they will go up. I mean, what keeps me from buying that into bulk as well? And keeping it in my bank for when it comes out. Obviously, you could say you have to sign a contract for it, but what if I genuinely need those acceleration burst potions for clue scrolling, for example? Am I just not allowed to buy them until the boss comes out? Like, you cannot really monitor that when it comes to market influence. And that's the same with like the rewards. Like if I'm allowed to talk about what rewards come out and I'm allowed to say that they're good or bad, then that will affect prices as well. Because, for example, if the bow is really good and I'm saying like, oh, it might be new best in slot, obviously the FSOA will crash and maybe even crossbows will go down in price as well. It's a slippery slope, and I think that's one of the main reasons why they don't really do this, or at least when they do it, you're not allowed to talk about it at all. So a promotional tool, yes, it could work as one, but at the same time, it just, with RuneScape and how it works, it just doesn't work like that. And another thing is, it's giving content creators a head start, and that is not necessarily a bad thing, but then again, it's also a bad thing when it comes to like content and for like enjoyment for other people. Because let's be real, one of the most fun things about a new boss release, especially a difficult one, is seeing someone like Evil Lucario or the RS guy to break the boss and try to get it down and, you know, try to find these little meta thingies and try to figure out the mechanics and, you know, being like, oh, you know what, actually, maybe if I bring this to the boss, or if I do this at the boss, or maybe, you know, there's a way to cheese the boss, for example. Like, those things are, in my opinion, really interesting to watch and to see, like, how low they can go with gear. And if you already know what the boss is like, you can just go in with that knowledge and, you know, take it out on the first try, or, you know, you already know all these, like, shortcuts to taking out the boss. And that would take a little bit of entertainment away from it as well, at least in my opinion. And it just, I don't know, like, entertainment-wise, it would be worse. And then again, it would give them a benefit over normal players because, you know what, they are able to take out the bosses at release as well. And, you know, they already have it figured out. So, you know, maybe they can make their money a lot quicker than other people. And that would just be unfair because then YouTubers or streamers are benefited by, you know, them having that position within, you know, the community and within RuneScape, etc. And that is obviously also really unfair. And it's also unfair to newer YouTubers because, in my opinion, RuneScape needs more YouTubers and streamers. So if you're ever thinking, hey, you know what, I want to start YouTube or I want to start streaming, definitely do so. Like, generally, we welcome you as a community. Like, we need more content because I think we need more Let's Plays. I think we need more opinion videos. We need more, like, obviously, I think my opinion is right on different things, but I see a lot of comments in my comment section down below about people that have completely different opinions, where I'm like, you know what, our opinions can definitely coexist together, but they're just different angles, and I think that's interesting to listen to. So, yeah, and a new boss is a perfect opportunity for someone who figured out their own method, or, you know, can explain things really well, or, you know, that just figured it out quickly and is able to make a guide on it quickly to, you know, get that head start on someone like Protox or Micro or whoever is going to make a guide on this boss and, you know, kickstart their YouTube career, or, you know, kickstart their YouTube channels, or, you know, give that other insight. But if, you know, all the big YouTubers and streamers already have the opportunity to experience the boss, they can easily just go into the boss encounter, get their gameplay, make their guide, and just, you know, get that head start. And then, you know, how the algorithm works, etc., etc. It will just, the newer guides will be pushed down, and everyone knows that they were a Jagex, so they must know how it works, and people will just follow them. And that would really just suck for, like, new YouTubers. But yeah, that's kind of like upsides and downsides. I'm really curious what you guys think of it as well, because I'm really indifferent to it. On one side, I think it would be good, especially because it would be insightful from different kind of skill levels. And, you know, from someone who plays the game every single day, they play the game differently than someone who QA tests the game. And there's nothing negative to a QA tester, but that's just the reality, isn't it? Like, we just look at the game a little bit different than someone who's a part of the development offset game. But on the other side, it's the market influence, so, you know, you're not allowed to say much things. So what is really the point besides playtesting? And obviously what I'm saying about the head starts, I don't know. Like, I don't think, personally, actually, now I think about it, I don't think they should do it. I don't think they should do it, although I do think it's cool. And maybe they could do it by pieces of content that are a bit less impactful, like, for example, Anachronia or something. But yeah, let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think. If you did enjoy this video, definitely leave a like. If you have any other things that you want me to discuss, let me know in the comment section down below. And my name is Valric, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Good.